This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
Welcome everyone. It's only been a couple of weeks, but it's a brand new season of the Radical Race Series 2022 season number 3, round number 1 at Road Atlanta. My name is Daniel Handover and I am joined once again by Mr. Ewan O'Leary. Ewan, good to have you back with us for another season, and lots to talk about, lots of changes here with this season, one of which being a brand new car.
Yeah, absolutely. We've got the Radical SR10, to replace the SR8 that we had for season after season in previous times. Don't know how long it was used for in the top category of Radical Racing on iRacing, but I'm presuming it was a very long time. And now we've got this new car. A lot of people have taken to it quite nicely as well. A lot of people on the grid here today, despite the fact the car's only been out for a week or so. And so, yeah, that is great. Lots to talk about in terms of that car and the differences in the way that it behaves. And we're obviously going to find out as well the differences in the way that it races throughout the race at Road Atlanta here tonight as well.
We are indeed very, very true. Regarding this new car, obviously, yep, different in terms of apparently what we've been hearing as well, what people have been saying and what the drivers have been saying as well. It's a little bit looser at the rear, so this is going to make things a little bit more interesting, I'm sure, with racing. Don't get me wrong, we were talking about this before the broadcast started, and also apologies for the delay. iRacing does love a good update, just at the wrong time, but we are obviously underway now. Qualifying is underway, so we are going to get up to that in a few moments' time. But yeah, regarding the cars, they're a little bit looser at the rear, which is going to be exciting. It's certainly going to make everything exciting for us. Obviously, when it comes to and it's going to make it exciting for the drivers as well. Time's already coming in at the moment, and at the moment it is Simon Edwards leading the way, so he seems to have taken to this car relatively nicely. I was also hearing as well talks of there was around I think there was a 13 potentially as well. There's John Hutchison straight in there with a 14, so he's not hanging about, is he, by any stretch of the imagination? So look, well, that's a striking liver if ever saw one. That's even more striking than the SR8 that he used to be driving. Yeah, so in regards to these cars, I'd be interested to see how much faster they are, or slower actually, to be fair. They could very well be either or. I imagine these cars, though, a little bit faster, turbocharged and the like.
It's difficult to tell, really, because I've got to say, looking at this car on the circuit, it does look a bit smaller than the old one. I don't know if that's just my eyes or whether it actually is, especially in terms of its width. Whether it's any faster or not entirely sure, really. I think it might be even a circuit-by-circuit basis, because there you can see the rear end, which is a lot less planted than it used to be for Paul Clark, going around at the final chicane. I think he's going backwards to get a nice run. He is indeed going backwards to get a nice run onto his second lap of the session, which is, I don't know if that's in the rules or not, but he's doing it anyway. Since he's on his own, I suppose it's all right. Yes, as we were talking about before we came on air, the rear wing just seemed to be, at least to my eyes, a little bit lower than we had on the SR8, just a little bit less drag on this car. It does look a little bit sleeker, maybe a bit more modern as well, you could say. So it might be a bit quicker in a straight line, but whether it's any good through the corners or not, I think it might just about be the same, as long as you can hang on to it. We've already spoken about the rear end, and we've already seen it in action, actually. It's being a little bit wayward, but certainly does look a little bit sleeker and maybe a little bit quicker, especially down those straights.
As you say, possibly a little bit faster. Patrick Charlton is going to be coming across the line. So the first lap is timed. It is going to be it wasn't actually a time lap. Must have gotten off track somewhere. I did see Dom Langweb though go in with a 1:14.75. So close in that midfield. Have a look from third down to seventh, all separated by a second actually. And in fact, I think Oliver Etheridge, he has indeed. Oliver Etheridge just slots in there. Up into P5, so there's people still throwing their throwing times out, and it's getting closer as well. Simon Edwards has pipped John McHutchinson for the moment, but John McHutchinson, he has set a personal bet on a purple in sector 1 as he comes across the line. What is it going to be? Is it going to be Simon Edwards as he comes across the line? I don't think, no, it wasn't a 1:14.08, so it doesn't improve his position, so he will start in second. Dave Dowson's had a moment. That looks to be going on the exit of 5. That certainly won't be ideal. Paul Clark comes. Is that does that look to me like an old Lotus? It is indeed. That's the old Lotus JPS livery esque car, which I think that car and that livery on anything just looks fantastic. I've never seen a car that I don't like it on yet. That's a really, really cool livery. And this is actually another thing. There's going to be lots more liveries coming out as people design their own liveries. We may see a new generation of liveries coming in as well, which is also very, very exciting.
You do have to kind of update that for the new car because it's not going to fit straight on like we saw with the old ones. So that's another thing for these guys to ponder. But just on the thought we were having a moment ago about how the racing is going to be affected by these new cars, speaking about how they drive, but speaking or seeing a few guys speaking earlier on about how they race each other, apparently making it a little bit more easy. The slipstream effect apparently is a little bit more pronounced than it was in the old car. It's a little bit easier to draft up to the back of someone and maybe make a way through. So that is something to look out for throughout the race, but a positive thing certainly for us in these cars and in these races. Not that we didn't have overtaking before, but it might be even closer between everybody now.
Indeed, as you say, if that slipstream is a little bit more pronounced, then that will allow for potential overtaking, especially at a Road Atlanta, circuit like this, Road Atlanta, very, very long circuit, especially that back straight. It's a fast circuit as well. You can't do much going down from turn 1 to turn 5. Oh. You can't. Whoa, that was Phil Glover going into. You can see the new damage model there working well because that wing. You can see that it's attached to one of the arms on the left hand side, but that right hand side, look at that. That's a nice little bit of physics there, isn't it? I quite like that. That looks quite good. Yeah,
it is. I think they added it actually for the old car as well.
Did they?
I'm just going to use that now.
Okay.
I think so. But we certainly didn't have it before, or I would have remembered. So I don't think we did anyway. So yeah, that's something to contend with as well. The damage might be a little bit more unforgiving, more coming into the pit lane or whatever on the face of damage, because it's not going to be carbon fibre doesn't get bent around anymore like we used to see. So that might affect the racing as well. As Paul Crabb comes over the line, he's very close to Simon Edwards, but not quite close enough, and he's at second place. It's usual suspects up towards the front, isn't it? Simon Edwards, Paul Crabb, John McHutchinson and Martin Booker as well. All 4 of those, we're going to be seeing a lot of those over the next 12 weeks. Not expecting to see John McHutchinson up there in the championship, though. It's very rare that we see him do enough races for him to be a real contender.
This thing, unfortunately so, while it is very, very, obviously, it's exciting, the fact that John McHutchinson is able to, and he seems to be effortlessly able to, every time he does race, to come in and just sort of put it on pole and away he goes. But as you say, well, hopefully we'll be able to see John do a few more races this time around. We'll have to wait and see. Simon Edwards, though, he does provisional. We only have Dan Webster, I think it's Dan Webster and then Phil Jocelyn. The only 2 drivers that are still yet to set a few laps. Phil Glover, actually, to be fair, he may be setting a couple more. Yeah, so, I mean, 4 thousandths? Now, that is probably this is about as close as we've seen. This is about as close as we sort of saw the times in the old Radicals. Bear in mind, everyone's starting to get accustomed to this car. And as you say, we are seeing the same names nearer the front, but as more people get more used to it, this may actually promote some other drivers to start to come up. Some drivers may prefer a slightly looser rear end on a car. You know, again, these sort of cars, this new generation, it's very much in some respects very much like, I suppose you could even hark it to like an F1. You know, the new season of F1. You know, it's always a bit into the unknown, which is what I'd like a new generation of car like this, because, like I said, people may get more used to it. They may get more accustomed to it. They may feel more comfortable in it. So I reckon as this season goes on, we will see a few other people start creeping their way up there, because it won't necessarily. I'd almost be certain it won't be exactly the same names up there.
Yeah, absolutely. Just going to do a bit of digging here to try and find a previous race at Road Atlanta that we've had in the Radical Race Series. Hasn't had one since the final season of 20... what's that? 20... What order did the years come in? 2021, I think, was the last time we had a Road Atlanta race. And so just going to try and find out the qualifying times to see where we are. Simon Edwards qualified on pole, with shock, with a 13.9 that season. So we're ever so slightly quicker. But as I mentioned, it's going to be on a track-by-track basis. And if we're assuming that the cars are slightly faster in a straight line, which I'm slightly leaning towards, although I don't know specifically, then that does match up, because there really isn't many straights around here at all. It's got that back straight, of course, but there's not really straights to note really for the rest of the course. When we start to get to circuits with more straight lines, like VIR a little bit on our third week, but especially the Red Bull Ring for week 5, that is going to be really writ large for us, and I think we're going to go a lot quicker around there than we have done on a lot quicker around there than we have in previous years.
Very, very true. Well, again, obviously, there's lots to go on. We'll have to see how it goes. Due to the unfortunate iRacing updates, a little bit of confusion around the amount of laps we're going to run, so it's going to be a slightly shorter race today, but that certainly won't detract from the action. But Simon Edwards does indeed take that pole position, with Paul Crabb in second. John Hutchison takes P3, only 2/10 off, with Martin Booker in P4. Oliver Etteridge P5, Dave Rolliston in 6th, Dom Langweb in 7th, Mike Busson takes P8, with Dan Webster in 9th, and then Michael May in P10. Paul May 11th, Colin Wynn in P12, and we have Martina Ward P13, Paul Clark in 14th, Dave Dowson 15th, Phil Glover 16th, Guy Robertson P17, Patrick Charlton in 18th, Jamie Bird 19th, Phil Jocelyn in P20, and then Damien G in P21. However, from Charlton down to G, unable to set laps. So 21 cars will be starting, or hopefully starting, on this grid for round number 1. And again, this does raise a question, though. One of the things that I am interested to see, and I imagine some people would have done some race running, apparently the tyres don't last as long. The tyres do drop off a little bit more aggressively. Now, maybe at a track like this, won't worry too much, but as soon as you get into a very, very aggressive circuit, you know, a big circuit, Silverstone is one that springs to mind, that might become a little bit more interesting. Actually, even here, down in through the S's. So, actually, away we go. Sorry, I didn't even realise that. The timer's already gone, and away we are. Good start at the front there from Edwards, Crabb, and then Hutchinson, as we're all going to possibly go 2 wide, nearly 3 wide going in. That's brave at the best of times. Tell you what, they're not hanging about here. New car, doesn't matter to these guys. They are just driving absolutely flat out right from the word go. And it is Simon Edwards, Paul Crabb, and John Hutchison is your top 3. A little bit further down the field, though, everyone's still managing to go through. That's Dave Rolliston there, sitting in P8. He's dropped a couple of positions. Colin Wynn, Paul Clark, Martina Ward, they've all made up a fair few. So, a couple of drivers haven't had the best of starts. Michael LeMay having lost 7 positions, starting in P10. A little bit of side-by-side. Dom Langweb and then Mike Busson. For a brief moment, there's someone blinking in and out there. Hopefully hopefully they don't cause too many issues. But that was someone that's gone off. Phil Glover's just gone off on the exit, into turn 6, leading into turn 7. That has cost him a fair bit of positions, I would imagine. They're coming down into 10A and then 10B for the first time. It is still Simon Edwards leading, though. The draft doesn't look to be giving all as much as I thought. I thought there'd be some more opportunities there for... Whoa! My goodness me! How okay? That was that happened. Fair play there for avoidance, because no one got hit. Surprisingly, I don't understand how no one got hit, but no one got hit. So that was absolutely astounding. A couple of drivers a little bit short though, couldn't quite get the exit going through 12. 12, you've got to be committed through there, and that was, I think, Patrick Charlton just making a position on Paul LeMay, and Paul LeMay has dropped another few positions. That's fact, Patrick Charlton's gone off. Patrick
well off.
Charlton. That's maybe again cold tyres. This could be the tyre issue that we were talking about. Tyres may actually take a bit longer to come up to temperature. He's fighting with Phil Jocelyn a little bit, but Phil Jocelyn manages to keep that position. A couple of changes at the front though. Oh, it's all starting to kick off already. This is, I tell you what, as the first lap is concerned, I think this is going to be an exciting season.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I'm not sure. Patrick Charlton's still struggling for tyre temperature. I think certainly though he was side by side with Paul LeMay there and just got fed into the outside line. I don't think LeMay did anything wrong, but Charlton just found himself out on the grass and down positions now. But yeah, up front of the field, Paul Crabb has made his way through on Simon Edwards. I think it was on the run down towards turn 6 actually. The 90-degree right-hander, although it's a little bit more flowing than 90 degrees. We are going to try and get a look at it. I think he just got the run off of the exit of the S's here. This is turn 5. And then Simon Edwards, did he make a mistake?
I think he did. Yeah.
And he drops down to second place. John McCutcheon just falls in behind as well. Gets in with them. But the three of them are away. Martin Booker has not had a good start to this race. And Dominic Labweb is going to make it worse for him as well. Qualified 4th. Booker, and he's already down to 7th place. He's getting steamrolled here a little bit.
Yeah, it could just be again, just getting a little bit used to cars. May have picked up some damage somewhere. I don't know how the underfloor is affected. May have tagged one of the curves a bit too aggressively. This is all the unknowns here, and this is something that we will start to know. And as the drivers start to develop, we pick up information as and when we go. Martin Booker's dropped another position that I've just seen. I wonder if he has got some damage on the car. Doesn't look like he has, but the car doesn't seem comfortable, does it? It doesn't seem to be... Well, it's moving about quite a lot.
Look, he looks all right. I think he might have just been spending a long time clearing a slowdown there, although that's a remarkable amount of time to be doing that for, so I'm not entirely sure. Either way, he's trying to make up positions again, but get back into the top 10 again at the expense of Martina Ward, and Paul LeMay fancies having a go at this one as well. He's able to stay very close to them down into the chicane. Ward keeping very much to the inside line there, braking fairly early, and in the end LeMay's allowed through as Mike Bootson has gone off at the chicane as well. He's going to tumble down the order. Not entirely sure if that was on his own or with contact with someone else. Let's have a look. It was completely on his own. The rear end is really quite, well, it has a mind of its own going on the way into that chicane there if you don't keep control of it, and Bootson now is all the way down in, 18th position.
Indeed so, certainly not ideal. Martina Ward, unfortunately, just another position lost to Jamie Bird, but might get that position straight back as Jamie Bird goes in. One thing I've noticed, now what I'm noticing here is, whoa, that was close still side by side. Martina Ward, though, absolutely is just not giving anything up and took that position straight back. One of the things I've noticed already, even just watching what these cars are doing, is the aero wash makes a bigger difference, I've noticed. It just seems that as soon as there's a bit of side-by-side movement or a bit of side-by-side going on between two cars, there does seem to be a loss of, the air disruption. And it really seems to be having quite a big effect. That may be why we're seeing a couple of people maybe go a little bit wide into a braking zone. Just because, again, they don't have the... See, interesting through here. See what happens, because both Charlton and Robertson are going to be side-by-side for a moment, although actually I think Charlton does make that move before the braking zone. But yeah, I wonder if that's a possible thing. Again, another element to these new cars. Again, they may be affected differently. Is Martina Ward's going to be hung out to dry on turn 12? Oh my goodness. Fair play to Patrick Charlton. That I didn't think he was going to... I thought he was going to wash out wide there, but manages to keep it all in check. Again, action just absolutely everywhere. The main action, though, to be fair, is in this midfield. Everyone really starting to move forward as quickly as they can. People have lost, people have gained. And who was that gone off? That's a big cloud of smoke. Couldn't see who that is. I think that may have been Dave Dowson.
Let's have a look. This is Dave Dowson, and it's, oh dearie me, this is going to be heavy. And into the wall. Oh, there's no rear end left on that anymore. The damage model completely working as it should, and that car's not working as it should anymore though, unfortunately, so he's down into the pit lane. I think Dan Webster's already out this race as well. Not entirely sure. He did take the start, I think, but not entirely sure what's happened to him. He's out the race. Martin Booker has also come into the pit lane, so it does seem that you might have been right there about his car not behaving particularly as he wanted, with a bit of damage. He's in, and he's just about making his way out now. He'll almost lose a lap in this one, as Michael LeMay now makes his way through on Guy Robertson a little bit further down, and Patrick Charlton makes his way through on Jamie Bird. But what I have noticed up front, Simon Edwards in third place at the moment. He's struggling a little bit with a little bit of race pace here. He did qualify well, of course, pole sitter in this one, but he's been overtaken by Paul Crabb fairly easily after a mistake, and it was out of turn 5 as well when John McCutchinson made his way through as well. So Edwards really struggling with that corner a little bit. Thankfully, though, he's got a bit of breathing space to those behind.
Yeah, I've noticed this. It's an interesting point. I wonder, as the season goes on, the season develops again, everyone will start to get fast, everyone will get a bit more used to everything and the cars, etc. But yeah, this is going into this race. I'm sure there are a few people that have done some race runs just to see what the car's like. I'd never used to do them because I was never that prepared. So this would be a big going into this sort of area especially when you get about halfway through this race after about 10 laps. You start really going into that sense of, into the unknown of what is actually going on, what is the car going to do, how is it going to behave. Also as well, track conditions, the track is rubbering in constantly, how is that going to affect? There's lots of questions to ask here, and unfortunately not that much info. Mike Busson goes very, very late on the brakes. Does he manage to make the corner? He does, a little bit wide though, going through 10B. That would have cost him a little bit of time, but he does manage to stay ahead of Guy Robertson.
Sorry, I thought I saw just losing a little bit of shape there, Booston, over the crest of the hill when the cars get light over there. I thought you're just losing the rears, getting the power down. As it looks like Patrick Charlton has been off, possibly in a big way. I think it was at turn 1, and there are no small accidents there. He might have kept it out of the wall for the most part, although it doesn't look healthy. Let's see, loses the rear on the way in, almost identical to Dave Dowson's crash, although a little bit less disastrous. Oh, quite a lot less disastrous actually. He manages to somehow keep it out the wall. But he does lose out on a load of places.
A position, an incident like that, unfortunately, leads to a very, very big loss, especially at someone like Road Atlanta. Again, as we said, turn 1 is fast, one of the fastest corners on the circuit. You're probably going in there at around about 100, I'd probably say with these cars, a good 90, 95 miles an hour, you're entering the corner. Maybe even faster than that. So, yeah, as you say, when incidents happen there, they are certainly not small by any stretch of the imagination. A couple more battles going on. Michael LeMay and Mike Busson, they're still having a little bit of battling here and there. I think Michael LeMay really took the position from Mike Busson, but I could very well be wrong on that. I think I may be getting a little bit myself a little bit confused. But either way, Busson looks like he wants to get that position gain. That's a brave. I thought it was going to be a brave lunge there going into turn 3. That's something you don't try and make all that often. Going through 4 and then through the S's into 5. Very, very fast right-hander again. You see, notice how they're all missing the curve. Be interesting to see what's a little bit wide for Michael LeMay. Mike Busson's just gone, thank you very much. Although, in saying that, I thought Michael LeMay was going to try and have it back on the inside of 6. Actually, this could very well be. If we just sit on board, actually, I'd be interested to see what this aero is going to make. Is there going to be a big enough slipstream? Gap is half a second at the moment. Is there going to be anything? Actually, it's probably not going to make too much of a difference to someone. Who was that?
Dave Dowson.
Was that
Dave Dowson recovering from the pit lane again? I'm not sure if he's fully recovered in terms of damage there. He certainly will have done some repairs to that car. Although if you think about it, they would have just had to put bodywork on again, I think, really. There's maybe a little bit of suspension damage there, but not a lot, because he hit quite square on with the barrier there. So it won't have been a really long repair, but he is a couple of laps down, just going for the points at the moment, just trundling around for the points. And trying to stay out of the way of everybody, but yeah, he's in the race, fortunately, as we go on board with Jocelyn, although I'd be surprised if he could keep up with Patrick Charlton here, because he's just been overtaken. This rear end is so out of shape going into turn 1, these higher speed corners. You really are fighting the car a little bit more, as there's more smoke up front here. I think it might have been for Guy Robertson.
Well, we're going to see, I believe, you may be right actually. Let's have a quick look. Phil Glover actually has had a moment. Could it have been Phil Glover perhaps? I think.
Oh, I think it's different. This is a
different incident, yes.
Yeah, there we go.
That's what happens when you hit the curb.
Yeah, you said they were avoiding them, and that's a demonstration of why, by the looks of things. This is what the smoke at the top of the hill was all about, and it was Guy Robertson going out of shape, but thankfully neither of those two have hit the wall.
That was a good save that from Guy Robertson. You see, he did exactly the right thing, which is, unfortunately, wouldn't have done much good for the tyres. But I mean, did exactly what he needed to do and just lock the tyres up. That way, you then tend to carry on your momentum in that direction. As wherever you lock your brakes up, that's the direction you go in. So did exactly the right thing there. But unfortunately, obviously, would have certainly put a little bit of strain through the tyres. And you see Colin Wynn, they're able to run over that initial portion of the curve, but that's about it. They don't really want to take any more than that. I'm interested to see what Paul Crabb does, though. I'm interested to see how he is able to take turn 5, because turn 5 is a tricky corner, because you can take the curb, but you have to be very, very committed.
Yeah, I mean, this car does require a lot of maximum commitment, and we've been seeing by some of these onboard shots and through this race so far, it's a much more of a handful, this car, even over the bumps than the old SR8 was. It is much more of a handful as we go on board into turn number 1. Crabb does seem to have this one fairly planted going into here. These high-speed S's, of course, not now up the hill, and then we're going to plunge back down again. That curve on the right-hand side, not too much of a problem. Now, the turn 5 is the real discussion point, though, because it's where Simon Edwards lost the lead to Crabb, former champion. Let's see. Over the curves, well, just a little bit. He just kisses the curves, really, doesn't he? He doesn't. See, particularly at Petit Le Mans, where you see the proper GT cars going through here, they're almost in the gravel on the right-hand side. You can use all of the curves and a little bit more through there, but these cars absolutely do not allow for that. A lot safer on the exit of those curves there, just making sure that they don't spin out.
Indeed. Sorry, I was talking with my my mic was muted. So there we are. That's the first of many this season, I'm sure. I've just noticed at the front. Actually, have a quick look at this. Simon Edwards and John Hutchinson. They're getting a little bit closer. John Hutchinson is leading on Simon Edwards, although gap is about 0.3 of a second. This could get very interesting. I wonder also as well, because we have a couple of races this season where the races are slightly longer. Perhaps are we going to see something along the lines of tyre management may actually come into effect? It made a bit of difference in the old cars. Perhaps tyre management is actually going to make a lot more of a difference in this car potentially. This is the pass on Edwards going into turn 1. Brave move there. Bear in mind, not a slow corner by any stretch of the imagination, and Simon Edwards tried to hang it around the outside, but unfortunately just wasn't able to maintain the same momentum. So yes, this could get very, very fiery in these final closing stages. Bear in mind, only 8 laps left to go. I tell you what, there's going to be... Let's see what this slipstream is here. So Simon Edwards, have a look at that. He's 7/10 back. He's already starting to gain on time. Look at that. So what was that? 7/10 we saw there. So that's a 10th already gone. Still probably another 2/3 of the straight left to go. Really motoring along now. That's 2/10. So it's a 3/10. I reckon it's about 3/10. If you get a good exit... Bear in mind, that was 7/10, and it was dropping down to 4.5 tenths to 4/10. That's a 7. There's easily 3/10 along this sort of straight. And it didn't look like Simon Edwards got the perfect exit there. So slipstream definitely seems to be a bigger factor here. This is a bit of a battle going on here. Paul Clark, currently in that, again, fantastic JPS-inspired livery along with Colin Wynn, and then that is Paul LeMay, I believe, is trying to fend off both Colin Wynn and Paul Clark. Three-way battle here as they go down into turn 1. I thought Paul Clark was going to have a bit of a move, decides against it though. Great battle. I wonder as well, as I'm sure we'll talk to the drivers, there'll be a couple of questions that we can ask them. One of the other questions I would like to ask as well. Paul LeMay's got a little bit wide. That will pull that gap together as well. Unfortunately, Colin Wynn can't do anything down through the S's. We will have to wait going into turn 6, or what I would probably do is wait going into turn 10A and then 10B. I wonder what the aero is like, the aero disruption. Is it more or is it less than the old car?
Yeah, all these things we got to find out from the drivers. Really, they're the ones in the cars driving. We don't really we don't do that. It's we've got to find out from them, and we just certainly will do. But the slipstream doesn't seem to be. I don't know. It's not noticeably more than it was last season. I don't really think so. But either way, it is still a thing, and it is almost 3 wide going into the final chicane here. Don't think Colin Wynn really wants to make it. Oh no! across there. Wynn getting into the side of Paul Clark, who was trying to make his way down the inside of Paul LeMay. And in the end, the three come together. Colin Wynn comes out unscathed pretty much.
That was such a shame. Yeah, Colin Wynn was the person that managed to get away with the most there. I think Paul Clark, though, just moved across. It just seemed that, obviously, going into the braking zone, it was 3 wide. And, yeah, unfortunately, Paul Clark just seemed to have moved across a little bit. It didn't look like it was too much of a move. But, yeah, you just see, actually, to be fair, Paul Clark did look like he moved over about half a car's width, and again, when you're that close, that's all it needs. So a bit of a shame there, and unfortunately Paul Clark has lost a few positions. They're still up 2 positions the way he started in P14, but yeah, unfortunately lost a couple of positions as we go back to your live picture with 6 laps left to go here at 6 laps left to go at Road Atlanta for race number 1. There is Paul Clark in P12. He has got Martina Ward, a few tenths up ahead, of which Paul LeMay is only a few tenths up the road as well. So this may be a little bit of a battle. Don't forget Michael LeMay as well. If this could certainly become an interesting battle towards the end of this race. But right, obviously only now 5 laps left to go. John Maher Hutchinson has pulled away a little bit from Simon Edwards, I've noticed. And I've noticed generally the gaps have started to open up as well throughout the field.
Yeah, this is certainly the closest battle that we're seeing at the moment. But I have noticed elsewhere out on the circuit that Patrick Charlton, I think, has been off the road somewhere. He's back in the pit lane again here, well, for the first time. And Guy Robertson has also been off the road. He lost a couple of places on the last lap as well. So I think there may have been a couple of incidents over the last few moments' time, and another retirement as well. Trying to find out for who down the bottom there. But it's off the road for Paul LeMay as well, just in front of these guys. So it is all going on. A few mistakes being made, but as I said earlier, these mistakes are creeping in a little bit more from the very start of this race, really, because it's just a new car and it's difficult to figure out. Paul LeMay did this last lap and he got away with it, but not quite this time. He's able to sort it.
What a save, though. What a save. I mean, all things considered, that could have gone very, very badly. Well, that could have been a spin and possibly another 2 or 3 positions. I think that was a save. That was a very, very good save. But yeah, as you say, incidents, right from the word go, from absolute, from turn 1, from lap 1, everyone started to get a little bit, just pushing that car a little bit too much, and unfortunately, I said the incidents creeping in. We'll probably see. I imagine we'll see those iron out. Again, as people get used to this car and how it behaves, we'll see those cars. That we will see those incidents go down, just purely because people will get more time in the car. When you spend an entire season in the car, you start to understand. You'll start to. The best thing I always used to say is you start to preempt a car. You start to preempt what it's going to do. You recognise it. You don't react to it. You're proactive to it instead. The only battle actually going on at the moment is this one with Paul Clark and Paul LeMay, and the one up ahead, which this is the battle for 4th, which is Oliver Ettridge and Dom Langweb.
And by the way, I'm not sure if it was Martin Booker was the driver down and out of the race now as well, by the way, down at the bottom, as well as Patrick Charlton, but I'm not sure if it's just the livery or whether Martina Ward has actually got no front end on her Radical at the moment. Not entirely sure. But here's Martin Booker and how he's end up at the race, and there's the new damage model. You can be sure has affected him quite badly. He's got no rear wing, and he's decided not to return. Unfortunately, our cameras are not positioned where the trees are not, but there they are. No rear end, and the new damage model there. He would have been fine probably last season, the old car, but he can't get away with anything now.
No, and again, more to the real life. An incident like this, unfortunately, that is it. Car's done and dusted. These cars they are fragile. They're almost as fragile as something like an open wheel car. Not as fragile. You could take a few more knocks, but when it comes to, oh my goodness, is this too wide through the S's? It is too wide through the S's. Poor Clark is just absolutely. They both managed to see him. Unfortunately, Paul Clark loses out. Oh my goodness! We need to watch that again. We do need to watch that again. And I believe actually the checker flag has just been waved. Actually, apologies.
Yeah.
I'm not too sure what the laps were going on there.
because of the server issues, the server's been set to a 20-minute race rather than 20 laps as it originally was. So Paul Crabb is going to take a bit of an early victory, but it's a victory nonetheless, and John McCutcheon beats Simon Edwards to second place.
I did. Sorry about that, everyone. I was getting a little bit confused there. Apologies. But yeah, John Hutchison, second. Simon Evans in P3. That Paul Clark battle with that would have been absolutely fantastic. If that had continued, that could have been a very, very interesting final few laps. Unfortunately, it was not meant to be, though. But ultimately, the checkered flag has now gone out. A couple more drivers left to go. And then we will be bringing you the finishing results. And then also, we'll have a quick chat with a couple of our drivers, all being well, get their thoughts on what was certainly an interesting race, an interesting start to the season, and one of which very much looking forward to. I think, do you know what, that is everyone that's gone across the line. It is indeed. So that is everyone. Let's have a quick look at the final finishing results. There we are. Paul Crabb, the overall race winner by 3.5 seconds. So fair enough for Paul Crabb there. Really, really coming out of the gates with a good win under his belt. John Hutchison in second manages to still continue to pull away from Simon Edwards in P3. Dom Lang-Webb takes fourth, Oliver Etheridge in fifth, Dave Ralston P6, Colin Wynn takes seventh, and then Mike Buzzin P8. Jamie Bird in ninth, Martina Ward takes P10 with Paul Clark in 11th place. Michael LeMay in P12, Damien G in P13 with Michael LeMay 14th, Phil Jocelyn in P15, Phil Glover in 16th, Guy Robertson 17th, Dave Dowson unfortunately in 18th, finishing a few laps down, as does Patrick Charlson 4 laps down, Martin Booker 8 laps down, and then Dan Webster 17 laps down. Unfortunately, he didn't actually start the race. So, yes, we're going to have a very, very short break. We'll be back in a few moments' time, where hopefully we're going to have a chat with a few of our drivers from round number. Don't go anywhere.
This is iRacing, the world's premier online racing game. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat to experience today's newest form of competitive motorsport, virtual racing, all from your home PC. Race virtually in endorsed series from NASCAR, IndyCar, IMSA, the World of Outlaws, Aussie Supercars and more. Take on legendary circuits like Daytona, Silverstone and the Nürburgring. Join iRacing's global online racing community and get on track today at iRacing.com.
And welcome everyone. We are back here for the post-race analysis and post-race broadcast here from the Radical Race Series 2022 season number 3, round 1. We have a couple of interviews here. Ewan, would you like to grab the first person? I believe we have Paul Crabb.
Yes, let's grab a chat with Paul Crabb, shall we? Paul, welcome to the commentary. Good to have you here after a race victory here tonight. How was it out there? Obviously, you didn't qualify on the pole position, but you managed to come home with the victory. How is the new car? I guess first and foremost is what we've got to ask.
The new car, it's okay. It's not as engaging as the SR8. It's a bit of a handful on cold tyres with understeer. And then a bit of a handful at the end of the race as the tyres cook up and turn to chewing gum. But apart from that, I quite like it. You know, it's quite different to the SR8, but yeah, it's okay.
It certainly looks a lot different. And in terms of those tyres as well, of course, I want to look ahead to the season a little bit because there's 3 longer races this time around. Do you think that those tyres worries that you had even at the end of this race, do you think they'll be even more concerning by the end of those maybe longer races? Are we even going to see pit stops, or is that a bit of a stretch too far?
Oh, it's difficult to know. What happens is if you overheat one of the rears, the fronts seem okay. It's if you overheat either side of the rears, it becomes very sketchy. So you either have to let it cool down, or you kind of have to manage the tires a bit from the start to try and almost condition them so that you can then get through the rest of the race. And you just got to be a bit careful with them. It's something we never had to do in the SR8. So I guess it's another factor we've got to put in, because you can drop off 1 or 2 seconds a lap when they go. So it's a big factor.
Certainly, and then just to circle back to this race, of course, winning by a few seconds in the end. Were you maybe surprised that you weren't challenged a little bit more in that one?
I was surprised that I didn't have John or Simon on my tail. I mean, I go around Road Atlanta really well. It's my favourite track, that and Nordschleife. So I've always gone well here. So I was hoping to be in the top 3. And when Simon had a wobble after the S's, I thought this is my chance. And I've done a lot of driving this week around Road Atlanta as well. So I'm in good practice. So I had my fingers crossed I would keep it together.
Absolutely, and you certainly did to take home victory today. So congratulations on that, and thanks very much for coming to join us.
Okay, and thanks for hanging around, gentlemen.
Thanks very much. There you go, Paul Grab from Race Victory here at Road Atlanta.
Indeed, so good to catch up with him. We are now going to have a very, very quick chat with the one and only Mr. Simon Edwards. Simon, P3, unfortunately, obviously, we had a very, very good qualifying, starting pole position, so it seemed the car was certainly under us, albeit, though, only by about 0.04 of a second. Again, just in terms of, I imagine, getting used to the car, there's quite a lot of new things to be able to get, just to gradually get used to. But it's good to see, certainly, fighting at the front of the field once again with this new car.
It is. I'm not really getting on with the car that well. I had a very specific issue after the update that iRacing had put out, and we all joined really quickly. And a couple of users left because of it, because frame rate had dropped in half, so it was really painful. I was amazed that I qualified with half the frame rate in a VR headset.
Wow.
Me and Paul had the same pace in practice anyway, thereabouts. So it was going to be between the top 3 of us there anyway. So I'm happy to have come home 3rd, and I'm happy for Paul to have won that. It would have been a fight anyway.
Well, certainly so. Well, I'm hoping then that there's some things you're able to do then to sort this frame rate out. Regarding the car, though, how did it? A few people were seeing in the chat with the drivers. A couple of drivers were talking about tyre deg. How did you find the tyre degradation in terms of? Did you find it? Is it more prominent than the SRA?
It is in a good way, or I prefer it that way. The tyres do get a little bit too hot, so it's probably slightly overdone. But I don't mind that because I can manage tyres quite well. But I was struggling to manage the tyres with that frame rate. I couldn't really time things properly. So I was running out of tyres in the end, so I just played it safe on the last 2 laps. But I don't think I could get back to John anyway. But I think if everything had been normal, I wouldn't have even worried about the tyres. I did a full practice run in practice, full race run. And that was fine. So I think over the season that's probably going to be okay for me. Might be more of a problem for others though.
Well, certainly a long way to go in this season. We'll have to wait and see how it develops. But I think we're all excited for this new car. We're all excited to see how it does develop and how it does progress forward. Simon, considering brand new car, how we had that frame rate issue, a pretty good result for P3 all round.
It is. I'm happy with that, and it's a good start to the season.
Certainly is. Good stuff. Simon, pleasure as always. We'll hopefully catch up with you next week.
Yes, thank you.
There we go. Simon Edwards there. P3 for this. I mean, half the frame rate in a VR headset, that is having, as someone who's been in VR, and that's a big, you notice a 10 frame rate drop, let alone half. Which most of the time is probably looking around 50 frames per second. That's absolutely horrible. I can't even imagine that. Ewan, actually, I've just seen we have very, very, very quickly there, just at the final few moments, John Hutchison comes in. John, P2 on the grid. I think overall another good result for the new car, would you say?
Yeah, happy with that. Haven't got to grips with the car yet. Can't get the front end to handle the way I like it. So, bit of a struggle, but second place is a good start to the league.
Well, it certainly is. I think that seems to be a general consensus. Is the front end just seems to push a little bit. It seems to understeer a little bit. It just doesn't quite have the same bite as the old one did. Do you reckon that's just a characteristic of the car itself, or do you think that's a setup issue?
I think it's a bit of both, to be honest with you. I haven't really meddled much with the setups. I haven't had much time this week to do much on it, to be honest. So it's just like you say, it's pushing through. I don't have any confidence to attack especially the S-bends around here, and going up over the curbs. You touch the curbs coming out of the S's and you're screwed. You're in the wall. It's a tricky car. I'm finding it tricky.
Well, all things considered, even though you're finding it a little bit tricky, again, P2 still a good result, and hopefully that will you'll build upon that again for the remainder of the season. What is the season looking like for you? Is it looking because again, obviously, I know that we had a couple of races last season we weren't able to attend. Is that sort of going to be the same, or are we going to see you for more of the season this time?
It'll probably be the same, to be honest. Maybe not as bad. I might be able to manage the quota this time and see where I finish in the league.
Fair enough.
But I'd like to say congratulations to Paul. He done well tonight. He had good pace.
He absolutely did.
On behalf of all the RRS community, I'd like to wish Dave, his wife, took no well with COVID, and I'd like to hope she comes out okay in the end.
I didn't realise. Well, as the same with myself. Hopefully that recovery is hopefully certainly soon.
Yeah, fingers crossed for her.
Yeah, certainly so. Never a nice thing at all. Well, yeah, absolutely. Hopefully we all we do all wish a speedy recovery. I've just noticed as well, John. I've seen we've come away from the Scottish flag and gone with the Pink Panther instead.
Do you like that?
I've only just noticed that, actually, in all honesty, but it's good. It's a bit more striking than the old Scottish flag.
Pink to make the girls wink.
Well, there we go. Okie dokie. John, pleasure as always, and we'll hopefully be able to catch up with you next week.
Yeah, thanks, guys. Catch you later.
Take care.
See ya. Bye.
Well, certainly an interesting note to finish on there, Ewan.
Yeah, it certainly makes our life a lot easier, actually, having a pink car on there. And we're not going to miss him now, are we? On the circuit, so that makes our life a lot easier. But no, yeah, it sounds like everybody's just trying to get to grips really with the new car that we have. Very exciting time, of course, in the Radical Race Series. So who knows? Are we going to finally get a different champion for the first time in or since this season in 2021? Can Simon Edwards hold it for a whole 365 days? We'll wait and see on that. Too early to tell, of course. But yeah, let's see over the next few weeks. And as we briefly mentioned as well, there are indeed 3 longer races that we should just probably tell you about before we leave. Next week at Laguna Seca being one of them, as well as Summit Point for round 6 and Norton Park as well for round 11. So 3 longer races to look forward to. Are we going to see some interesting things with tyres there? Who knows? But yeah, it's certainly been an interesting race here today, and it will continue on as these guys kind of learn the car and really get to grips with it. In season 3 of 2022.
Indeed. Well, we will catch up with you next week. We will have to say goodbye, though, unfortunately. But yeah, next week, Laguna Seca, a slightly longer race. Certainly going to throw a spanner in the works for some, I would imagine. But that will provide some good racing, nevertheless. Thank you, everyone, for watching. And everyone, if you haven't already, please do consider subscribing to the Absolute Sim Racing YouTube channel. It does help us out a hell of a lot. But until next time, everyone, as always, take care, stay safe.